So I think people are supposed to know who we are because it's like our recording, our channel, but you're Kathryn Munoz for anyone who doesn't know. And it's just great to be partners because of your background in nutritional biochemistry, right? And your PhD in that arena. And coming together as a psychiatrist and a nutritional biochemist is an amazing thing, but we can talk about anything, I figure. And what is on my mind right now are these wildfires that unfolded, and now there's another threat of them being reawakened by new Santa Ana winds. And it must be incredibly stressful. We know this, right? For people to contemplate, wait, it could be coming again after the trauma that just unfolded, which is almost unthinkable. What are your thoughts on that?
Obviously, it's just so sad to see the devastation, and, to try and put yourself in somebody's position who has lost everything. I know, actually, now that I come to think about it, when I was really young, like about 13 years old, my dad's brother, their family, he had died. He was hit by a car and he passed away. So it was just his wife and their 4 kids. And their house caught on fire and they lost everything. And I just remember how devastating that was to them. But this is on a massive scale.
It is. And listen, no one can know what it is to go through something like that without sadly going through it. But I will say this, if I had to prescribe a series of, sort of responses to being in that position, I would say, number one, to say, listen, we have to be able to say that looking back, not now everybody is, of course, like beside themselves, etc. But if you can think to yourself, looking back, we have to devise a way to say that was a turning point. We got stronger. We never would have predicted it necessarily. We wouldn't have wanted it, but we got stronger because of it. And if you can, in a way, almost a little bit remove yourself from the horror of the moment and say, all right, well, let's imagine it's 2 years down the road. We've rebuilt in certain ways and we've become stronger because of it. How did that happen? Let's tell ourselves that story and make it real. Let's live it. And by the way, if our memories, many of them were obliterated, let's say, God forbid, in a fire or smoke damage or whatever it might be, to say, we better start making more memories right now. Get the phone, your cell phone. Take pictures together as a family, showing that you've come through it together as a family, God willing. Hope, it's tragic for anyone who lost somebody in this. But if your family's together and you survived, then that's the story. You survived, right?
So is that kind of the new starting point for people who have been so devastated by this, is just to, pick up the pieces by looking to the future?
I think it's a new starting point, but it's almost like leapfrogging ahead in a particular way. Again, nobody would want it. No one would elect to do it. And yet, if you could say to yourself, given that we survived this, we don't know. The jury's out. We have no idea how this strength that we didn't want to develop, right? We didn't want to go to this gym. But now that we're stronger, let's let the jury stay out and say, how will this resonate in the lives of our children and our grandchildren, our brothers and our sisters, in ways that we can scarce predict. We can't predict it at all. And yet, no doubt, and I can promise people this, they will look back and say, things happened in our lives that living through this informed. We were stronger because of it. Again, we'd never want it, but we were stronger because of it. And now we see that there was some sort of universal plan unfolding. So what are you doing when you are coping? You're doing more than coping, actually. You're getting stronger by coping. Every single thing you do, every kindness you show someone, every bit of loyalty, every bit of strength, is actually developing you as a person, but it's also developing everyone with whom you interact. Literally, you become sort of a beacon of hope, strength, and again, nobody invites this. You don't raise your hand and say, I think, I'd like to go through stuff so that I can
Thanks.
power it in the world. But that's how people do. They go through stuff. I like to say pain to power. They go through pain, they become powerful. And don't be surprised, I would say to anybody who's gone through that, to see yourself as much stronger in the future, which you're talking about, right? So this happened in your family?
Yes, yes, it did. And the unfortunate part was, my aunt was already a widow and had no husband. He was killed in a car accident, and the young kids were there. And so I just remember my dad, getting all of us together, and it wasn't like we were that wealthy or we had that many clothes, but I remember him saying, grab what you can because we need to take it to the cousins and help them start all over again. And so, I can't imagine what on a mass scale, what that would feel like. But I do wonder what are some things that people can do now to help them cope on a daily basis, because it just can't be easy getting up every day.
I don't think it's easy getting up every day. And by the way, sending that message to people, if folks were to text people they love and say, I'm thinking about you, I can't imagine how hard it is for you getting up every day. And if you want to grab coffee, if you want to take a walk, if you want to call me, and if you want to cry, it's okay. You do what you need to do. I'm here for you. I think that's one of the most important things that people can do to help each other out. And also to understand, listen, this is not one and done. This isn't a 24, 48 hour or 2 week process. You got to allow that it's going to take time. So when you're going through things like this or any trauma in your life, I think it's better to say, how will things look in 6 months from now? How will they look a year from now? So that you're not expecting relief tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? It's better to say it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
For folks who are struggling with low mood, who are struggling because they feel sleepless, we happen to have some things that can help at 4Vita Health, but that's for anyone who might want to avail themselves of it. But there are lots of supplements, not just the ones that we create, but there are lots of supplements short of prescription medications that people can turn to bolster their mood. They should investigate that. Ashwagandha can deal with stress and low mood. It can help tremendously. It can help with sleep. So I think people should start looking for those things, because sometimes you do need to use natural remedies to bolster you through times like this. It would seem like a footnote, but it really isn't, because these are very powerful remedies. So people should have that sort of at the back of their minds or at the front of their minds for a little while, because this is an unnatural phenomenon. Losing everything is not normal.
Yeah.
And so your nervous system is in shock. How can you stabilize it? Google that, right? You'll come up with things like ashwagandha, bacopa, rhodiola, wonderful, all natural herbs that can make a huge difference. And people should think about that. Again, a footnote, but they should think about that.
Great. Well, this has been really interesting. Maybe we should come back again soon and talk a little bit more about, how people can mentally be supported during this, difficult time for them.
Yeah. And listen, we have a few resources that are available on, there's my site, paintopower.com. There's 4vitahealth.com, where we've got some information about how to deal with stress. People should use that liberally. And they should remember that, again, I like to say this, you'll notice in a movie cinema, when the main character is in massive trouble, nobody throws away their popcorn, walks out and says, let's get out of here. Everything's going bad. Everyone stays in the theater. They all say the same thing. I wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you can get to the point of wonder in your life, you win.
Oh.
Right? So if you can get past the, oh my God, and that's understandable. I totally get it. Who wouldn't feel that way?
Yeah.
And get to the point where you're like, I wonder what's going to happen here, to the good. How are we going to repurpose this to the good? You win. You can't be defeated then.
Nice. That's really great. And then also the website Feel Amazing Daily might also have some resources for people to look at as well.
FeelAmazingDaily.com, PainToPower.com, ForVitaHealth.com. That's the little we can do in terms of content for people. So that's us, right? Virtually.
Yes.
People in each other's lives, they can be 100x more powerful than that by simply reaching out and not expecting that people have to always show remarkable courage in the face of adversity. Sometimes it's another question, by the way. This is, taking people into Psychiatry 101 school. If people say everything's okay, how you doing? Good, I'm okay. All you have to really say is, are you? And some percentage of people say, I'm not. I'm really not. And this is how. And you'll be so valuable in those people's lives because empathy is a remarkable thing. Empathy heals people, but we don't deploy it enough, right? But and often you deploy it simply by asking just one more question. Someone says, I'm sure everything will be okay. You're sure?
Yeah.
You're feeling sure? Well, I'm worried. I am more. And being able to unburden yourself, what a gift.
Yeah.
People need that.
Great. No, that's so true. Every day we need each other, and especially in times like this. But I'm glad that there's some resources out there for people to go to. And I'm sure there's a lot of other resources in California that people have already heard about. But certainly maybe we can do this again soon and provide some more tips.
Absolutely. And people, I think, know how to get to us. They can message us. They can find us. We're not hard to find. And so if people need some coaching, they need some consultation, they need some perspective, they should reach out to us and we'll arrange something that works for them, I'm sure.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Ablow.
Hey, thanks, Kathryn.
Okay,
Good
bye
news,
now.
partners.